Auston Matthews hits 60 goals for the second time in his career. Illya Samsonov looks cool, calm, and collected and ready to take that number one spot into the playoffs. And it's a good night to be a Maple Leafs fan. They did almost everything perfect, and nights like this are amazing in Buffalo. I love the games in Buffalo. Welcome back to Leafs Digest. My name is Darius Domingues. And guys, we've noticed that about 80% of you watching our videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Toronto Maple Leafs. And Nick and I are going to keep you covered down the stretch here into the playoffs. We are just under 10 games away from the playoffs. It's an exciting time to be a hockey fan in general, but obviously a Leafs fan, right? Because they're heading into the playoffs, and obviously there's some anxiety with who they're playing, but let's focus on the matchup today because things went very well, and the Leafs beat the Sabres in Buffalo, and I always love a Leafs game in Buffalo. The scenes are fantastic. It's all Leaf fans. The building is loud. Same thing happens in Ottawa, but Buffalo is just a different vibe. The fans are just on top of everyone all the time. But before we get into the theatrics of the game and some of the performances, we'll look at the lineup, and an interesting Leafs lineup again. Obviously, Timothy Liljegren out with an injury. Morgan Rielly still out. Mitch Marner still out. There are a couple other injuries as well. So still rocking with that top line, which was great again, I thought, again tonight. Second line, no complaints as well. I love McMahon. Very underrated, and we'll get to him in a minute. And then obviously Reeves comes back in, which was a nice little change as well. And experimenting again with the defensive pairings with Brody Labushkin, which is very interesting. You got Benoit and McCabe together, which has been honestly great in my eyes, and Giordano Timmins, so that's very much an experiment. And Samsonov in the goal, he's back and feeling good, and boy, was he ever feeling good. We'll get to that later in the video. What a great game from Illya Samsonov. But just a congratulations before we move forward as well. 1,100 games for John Tavares. Congratulations. That is a great milestone, and his longevity throughout his NHL career, he's been great, and I know he's taken a backseat to some of the other stars in Toronto, but he does the little things fantastic, and I'm excited to see him continuing moving into the playoffs as well. And if you take a look at the stat line tonight, I mean, nothing to complain about if you're a Leafs fan, really. I mean, a couple surprise performances from a couple of the Leafs as well. And obviously, Matthews gets his 60th. Tavares gets on the board as well. Nick Robertson with a nice goal I'll touch on in a minute. And, the back end, no complaints as well. I thought everyone played really well. Samsonov played fantastic. You know what? There were some mistakes, but Samsonov held the team in, and I think that's exactly what your goaltender has to do sometimes, and he did exactly that. And there are times the defense bails him out, so a little bit of pitch and catch with that, and I think that is A-okay for the Leafs. And another guy I wanted to shout out is Nick Robertson gets on the board today with a beautiful goal, honestly. Great pass from Nyes to sauce it into Robertson, and he just ripped it 5-hole, and I think Robertson, I keep saying a lot of people want to give up on him, but there is something still there, and it might not be this season. Maybe we'll get a better look next season, but there is still something there. I still think he can figure out his defensive game, but he has the tools. His shot is lethal. It's an NHL shot. It's better than some NHL player, like some of the best NHL players in my eyes. I mean, he has a lethal shot when he gets it off. If he's on a breakaway, he is shooting it. He's not deking, and he's blowing it right past the goaltender. I still think there is a lot there for Matthew Nyes, and I'm excited to see how he progresses still, because it's clear the organization does not want to give up on this player, and I'm not sure it would be a good idea to do that just yet. I think he can still clean up his defensive game, and again, he is still young considering, that he had a bunch of injuries. He has missed time. He hasn't played full seasons in the NHL yet. So I still think there is something there. We'll just have to wait and see if he can figure it out. There is still a lot to figure out in his defensive game, but I just wanted to bring that up because I think there is still a lot to Nick Robertson's game, and, that's what it is. But another big part of tonight's game, Samsonov absolutely stealing the show. He was the only reason, I wouldn't say that the Leafs were in the game, but a huge reason that the game wasn't at least tied in the third period. I mean, he made a couple breakaway saves, a couple huge diving saves across the crease. He certainly kept them in it and gave them the opportunity to win. That's exactly what you need from your goaltender. And he looks comfortable. This is the same building that they lost 9-3 in earlier this year, where he was chased after, I think, 4 or 5 goals. Might have been more, actually. And, he looks calm, cool, and collected heading into the playoffs. He looks like the Samsonov of old. Whatever happened mid-season, early season this year seems to be gone. He has settled in very nicely, and I'm excited to see Samsonov continue this into the playoffs, and it's true from David Alter. Like I said, Samsonov is the only reason that game was not tied, and then they were able to get that empty netter. And of course, great for him. Another shutout in the year. He has been playing fantastic. He's the first Leafs goalie, to get a shutout in Buffalo since Andrew Raycroft on November 9th, 2007. So it's been a long time. But Illya Samsonov gets the job done. He shuts the door, and great for him. I love to see Samsonov, him have continued success, because he's a great quote as well, and he just seems like he loves to be there. And it's great when a guy like that, who puts in that much work, gets that success. So he's the first Leaf goalie in like 19 years to get them a playoff series win as well, and I'm hoping he can do it again this season. And you know what? There's no reason he can't, playing this way. He looks very good. But to move on from Samsonov, I don't want to, glaze over it. Samsonov played a fantastic game, got the shutout, was one of the only reasons the Leafs won this game. At one point, the shots, I think, were 30-16. He absolutely gave them every chance to win this game. They capitalized on their opportunities. Exactly what you need from your goaltender and your team. Fantastic stuff for the Leafs. And to move on, Auston Matthews, for the second time in his career, hits 60 goals. We knew it was going to come. It was just a matter of time at the clip he was scoring at this year. Fantastic stuff from Auston Matthews again. I mean, he gets the standing ovation. You have Sammy and MVP chants in Buffalo tonight, all right? That is, like, amazing, all right? Like, you're not even at home, and you got a standing O, and when they announced the goal, and Samsonov chants, MVP chants, this guy is for real. Love Auston Matthews, 60 goals on the season. And Auston Matthews also becomes the 9th NHL player in NHL history with multiple 60-goal seasons. And this is the list of other players. You got Gretzky, Bossy Lemieux, Esposito, Hall, Bure, Curry, Yzerman, and Auston Matthews. If you take a look at that list, that is some good company for Auston Matthews. Those are some great players, some Hall of Famers, all-time leading scorers. You got Stanley Cup champions, and you got Auston Matthews. He needs that Stanley Cup, and I wonder if the Leafs get it this year or in the near future. It would be fantastic for Auston Matthews to add that to this list of impressive things he's putting together. I mean, he has had an amazing season, and you even have other Leafs chiming in now, telling you how great this player is. I mean, even Darcy Tucker took to Twitter tonight, congrats 34. I mean, other Leafs and Leafs alumni are chiming in and being like, this is the greatest player to ever play for this franchise, like skill-wise. He will get there one day, numbers-wise, absolutely. It's probably going to take him, at least in goal-scoring, another season. He's fantastic. And everyone's chiming in. Everyone's on the same page. He is doing some unprecedented stuff, and he is putting himself on lists and doing things that great players do. And it's great to see. And again, his second 60-goal season, he can get more. He's in his prime, right? He's still very young, and it's just very exciting to see that for the Leafs, right? We haven't seen a player like that in a very long time at this caliber. And obviously, as you go through eras, the game changes and all that. Auston Matthews is an elite talent, so to see him score 60 goals again, just fantastic. And I mean, he's not done yet. They still have a couple more games until the playoffs. He can get up to 65 if he wants. It's really, the sky's the limit with him. He looked like a man possessed trying to get that 60th tonight. Obviously, he was dealing with an illness on Thursday night. We were all hoping he would get it then at home. Didn't. Got it tonight, and it was almost better. The crowd reaction made it that much better. So love to see him get that in Buffalo as well. So it's awesome. And if the Leafs can continue to package the stuff, Matthews continues scoring. These are great regular season things, but can you bring them to the playoffs, right? Samsonov, can you bring this to the playoffs? I think he can. We have seen it before, but he looks great this year, and I love other things, the little things. Benoit getting in the scrum at the end of the game. I love it. Someone hits your player, you get in there, right? You respond. I love the pushback from the Leafs this year. Benoit with the physical play, even though he took a penalty. I'm not sure if that was really a penalty, but anyway, that's the discretion of the refs. But the physical play, McCabe, always, all season, physical as well. I love it from the Leafs. So more of that, and they are bringing it as the season goes on. So hopefully they can continue that in the playoffs. And Nick and I will have you updated all the way through that until the playoffs and into the playoffs. It's going to be an exciting time, and we'll see you for another video tomorrow.